Once again, welcome back to another All Things Hoops podcast. As always, I'm Luke, joined by Al.
Today we will be giving a second round recap of the NBA playoffs, our predictions for the conference finals, reviewing the draft lottery, and later joined by special guest Carson Van Deest.
So let's get right into the second round here.
Starting out west, we have the Warriors and the Rockets. The Warriors win in 6 games.
KD played amazing that series, obviously until he got hurt with that knee strain, keeping him out for the final 2 games. But through the 4 games, he totaled 144 points.
And it was really interesting watching Harden and KD go back and forth. Harden had a very good series as well, but it just wasn't enough to overtop this stacked Warriors team.
And obviously with KD out, someone had to step it up. And with Clay and Steph, they played pretty poorly through those first 4 games. They had a huge comeback in games 5 and 6.
Definitely. It was really interesting to see how they'd bounce back in games 5 and 6, especially after those first 4 games where they played pretty bad.
So in game 5, Clay dropped 35 points and secured them the win.
And in game 6, Steph had 33. All 33 coming in the second half. He was scoreless going into halftime.
He's like 0 of 7. Couldn't make a shot at all.
On to the other Western Conference series, we have the Nuggets versus the Blazers. Obviously, the Blazers winning in 7.
It was kind of a quiet series. Not much exciting things happened during that game.
Yeah, especially, those first 6 games. Nothing over the top happened. It was really that game 7 that had all the hype around it.
CJ McCollum had a great series. He stepped up when Damian Lillard was playing pretty bad.
However, though, Dame is 9 for 13 from 30 feet and beyond, and the rest of the NBA is 8 for 84.
See, that's just a stat that amazes me. Just because Dame himself has made more from 30-plus feet than the rest of the people in the playoffs.
And with this, the Blazers making the Western Conference Finals along with the Golden State Warriors. This is the first time 2 brothers are going to be competing against each other in the same conference finals. Of course, Steph Curry from the Warriors and Seth Curry from the Blazers.
Okay, here. So Nuggets coach Mike Malone believes this team will do very well next year. That this experience is what they really needed.
Yeah, he said in the post-game interview how, especially talking about Jamal Murray, how this is going to be just build his future. He was going to look at this series for the rest of his career. It's really going to jump him further ahead in his career, and how now that the Nuggets have a taste of winning in the playoffs, they're going to keep this ball rolling.
But let's talk about how the Nuggets in Game 7 blew a 17-point lead.
That's definitely scary for them, but at the same time, they were a very young team going into it. I don't think many people expected them to make Western Conference Finals, but I thought they played pretty well this playoffs.
Yeah, so did I.
On to the East, we have the Bucks versus Celtics series. The Bucks blowing past the Celtics in 5 games.
Celtics take Game 1, but then they lose 4 straight. That's pretty scary to me if you ask me. Winning, they obviously won on the road in Milwaukee, but then just losing the next 4. It's kind of bad.
This is kind of funny for me because Paul Pierce, he had a statement after Game 1 saying that the Bucks wouldn't win another game this whole series and that the Celtics would sweep them. However, the Bucks go on to sweep the Celtics, and it's just kind of funny that Paul Pierce was getting too far ahead of himself.
Now, there's a huge factor why the Celtics lost was Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie Irving shot terrible throughout this series. With him saying he shot 8 of 22 in Game 3, and that night, that press conference, he said, from this point on, I don't think you'll see another 8 of 22. And come back Game 4, he shoots 7 of 22.
This is also kind of funny for me because you have your star player saying he's not going to shoot any worse, ends up next game shooting worse, and then they lose. You need Kyrie Irving out there shooting a way better percentage than he actually did. This year, in the playoffs in that series, he shot 36% from the field and 22% from 3. That's horrible. Those are horrible
terrible
percentages.
Giannis shot better from 3 than Kyrie.
And Giannis isn't a shooter.
Giannis can't shoot a 3.
And what's interesting to me is no one is criticizing Kyrie Irving for his shooting like they criticized Russell Westbrook for his shooting in the Portland series that they had. Russell Westbrook actually had better percentages in his series than Kyrie Irving had in this series, and you almost hear no Kyrie slander. What are your thoughts on this?
It's Russell. It's people are used to it for Russell Westbrook almost. See, they know he's not a good shooter, but I also see where you're coming from when they say Kyrie didn't get as much backlash as Russ did. It just surprises me. Because Kyrie did shoot a lot worse than Russ usually would.
So another thing about this series is Terry Rozier said that he did the most he could out of the whole entire team. He put the most effort in to win this series. And he said that he doesn't think he's going to come back. Does this surprise you that Terry Rozier is going to possibly leave the Celtics?
No, not really. Doesn't surprise me. He's been saying this for a long time now that he wants to go somewhere else, something bigger and better.
So the last series in the second round was the Raptors versus the 76ers. Of course, the series going to Game 7, probably the most entertaining series. The Raptors edging out the Sixers on a buzzer beater.
So during this series, both teams played excellent basketball. It was really fun to watch. While Kawhi dominated the whole series, averaging just under 35 points per game, 9.9 rebounds per game, and 4 assists per game while shooting 53%.
You know, Kawhi's been the MVP of the playoffs for me so far. He had a total of 243 points in this series, and that's the most in 25 years. Last person to do that was MJ with 246.
Now, obviously, we can't leave this out as Kawhi's crazy game winner in Game 7.
Yeah, the ball bounced 4 times off the rim before going in, and this is the first buzzer beater in Game 7 history.
It was also the biggest shot in Raptors history.
You know, I saw this coming. That's kind of Kawhi's shot. If you go back into the regular season towards the end of the year, he had a very similar shot that he hit. He dribbled directly to the baseline, turned, shot it around the short corner area, bounced off the rim and went in. It looks pretty similar to this one, and it's just a great moment for the Raptors.
I was watching this live, and I couldn't believe that shot went in. The way he got it to bounce up and over the rim, unbelievable.
And, of course, Embiid played pretty good this series, but that last game, he just kind of looked out of it. He looked like he wasn't locked in.
Him, Simmons, and Jimmy, they all didn't play great. They all didn't shoot great.
And then along with this, obviously Embiid was very emotional after the game, but I think this is just going to be a stepping stone in his career.
I saw somebody making fun of Embiid for crying after losing that game. What do you think of that?
I think that's just not right. I mean, when you put so much at stake, these players put so much at stake in these games that, of course, they're going to get emotional about it. Everyone gets emotional about losing. No one wants to lose, you know, and I like to see this emotion from Joel Embiid. It just happens that the cameras were on him when it happened.
Yep. So now on to our conference finals predictions here. Warriors versus Blazers being the first series.
So obviously the Warriors and Blazers played last night. The Warriors are leading 1-0 at this point.
KD was out for Game 1 and he's doubtful for Game 2.
And Klay and Steph stepped it up in this Game 1 without Kevin Durant, and you know they're the main reason they took that game.
Steph had 36 points with 9 3-pointers made in Game 1.
I saw an interesting stat last night while watching the game, and it was the last 24 games the Warriors played without Kevin Durant, while Stephen Curry was in the lineup, they're 23-1. Is this surprising to you that the Warriors are so good even without Kevin Durant?
Yeah, they still have 4 All-Stars on their team. I mean, you still have Klay, right? Klay and Steph, 1 and 2 in shooting in the league. Draymond, an all-around player. Then you have Boogie.
So for the Blazers, do you think they have a chance to win this series?
Right now, no. The way Steph played last night, if he keeps that kind of play up, then the Blazers have no chance. Especially if CJ McCollum and Dame, they have to play the series of their life if they want to win.
Yeah, those two have to play extraordinary, even better than they've played so far. They both have to go off on
not just
same
one
night.
Not just one. Both have to be on.
Although McCollum had a great series last series, and Damian Lillard having a great series against the Thunder, they both need to put it together in the same series and be ready to play against this Warriors team.
So I have the Warriors winning in 5 games here.
And for me, I think the Blazers will pull 2 out at home, so they'll force it to Game 6.
On to the Eastern Conference Finals here. The series being the Raptors versus Bucks.
This is going to be a very interesting series because you have Giannis, who's MVP candidate this year, and Kawhi, who's Defensive Player of the Year candidate, both having great playoff runs so far. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how these two are going to go at each other.
For the Raptors to have a chance at winning this series, Their role players must step up. It cannot be like that Philadelphia series.
Yeah, they almost disappeared during that 76er series because when Kawhi's on the court, they almost just give the ball to him and go do their own thing.
They hope he scores every time.
They give the ball to Kawhi, have him score, and that's not going to beat this Bucks team. They need all of them. All 5 guys in the court need to be able to score the ball.
And especially Lowry. If he does not have big games during this series, they will have zero chance at winning.
So getting back to the Giannis versus Kawhi idea, who do you think will have a better series?
I want to say Kawhi just because he's coming off that shot. Huge shot. I think he'll keep it rolling into this series.
I'll also say Kawhi because Giannis is still fairly young, and this is the first time he's ever been into the Eastern Conference Finals. While Kawhi is a multiple finals winner, and he's been here before. He acts like he's been here before, so his experience I think is going to edge him over the younger Giannis.
Okay, with this, my prediction for this series is that the Bucks will win in 7 games.
I agree with you. I think that the Bucks, however, Kawhi having a better series than Giannis, I think the Bucks team will just be much better and they'll win in 6 to 7 games.
That the Bucks role players will step up more than the Raptors.
Oh, definitely. I think the Bucks bench and the Bucks other 4 players on the court are much better than the Raptors.
So on to the news here, and today there's actually a lot of news to discuss.
First, this is the first final without Kobe Bryant or LeBron James. Last time this happened was in 2006.
To me, that's just crazy to think about. Kobe's now retired, but LeBron's still in the league, and he's been in the finals the last 8 years. It's weird without him in it this year.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It kind of shows you their reign of dominance over this last 13-year span.
So on some other news here, Michigan's basketball coach, John Beilein, is now the new Cavaliers coach.
This is going to be a great opportunity for John Beilein to coach in the NBA level, and I'm really excited for what this young Cavs team can do.
Other coaching news here is Ty Lue declined the Lakers' first offer, and now Frank Vogel is the Lakers head coach with Jason Kidd being the assistant.
This is pretty interesting because I really thought Ty Lue was going to go to the Lakers, but they couldn't offer him what he asked for. So now Frank Vogel is going to be the head coach.
I feel like Ty Lue should have accepted their offer because now where's he at? Nobody else is getting him one.
That might have been Ty Lue's only chance to be a head coach at an NBA level. So I don't know. I hope he's enjoying what he's doing right now.
Other coaching news here, Brett Brown is now coming back for the 76ers.
Yeah, I think he should. I mean, they kind of got their season cut short. Next year they have a pretty good chance of making the Eastern Conference Finals, even making the finals, especially if all their players come back.
So outside of the Staples Center, Los Angeles Lakers fan held a protest to show how the organization was being poorly run.
And this is kind of a joke of an event. I saw some images out there on Twitter and Instagram about how this big protest was going to be, and it comes and it's just a few.
There's like 13 people there.
Teenage fans that don't know much about basketball. Just protesting some stupid stuff that they can't change anyway. This is kind of a joke of a protest.
When I heard about this, I actually expected there to be a lot of people, maybe 100, 200 maybe.
Yeah, but really only showed up, under 50 people showed up, not even 20, 30 people. It was not worth it.
The funny thing about it, though, is I saw this video. There was other fans there. There's Clippers fans and Suns fans there.
Yeah, that was pretty exciting to watch, funny to watch that these other fans were watching the Lakers organization kind of fall apart, but there wasn't much to it.
So on to players news here. Michael Porter Jr. with the Denver Nuggets. He will be able to play this year in the Summer League.
Of course, he sat out this all season because of his back injury.
Yep.
And we knew that coming out of college that he wasn't going to be able to play. And, I'm really excited to see him next year.
He was one of the biggest players in that draft, and he still hasn't got a chance to show what he can do yet.
So, some more injury news. Russell Westbrook and Paul George both have surgery. Russ having surgery on his knee and Paul George having shoulder surgery.
I hope both of them will get better. And I know with PG it was really hard on him there in the playoffs. Because you can see he could barely move his shoulder.
I want to see this OKC team do something next year. I hope they can sign a free agent or get a good draft pick and pair them with Russell Westbrook and Paul George.
Yep. So the Mavericks power forward Kristaps Porzingis was back in Europe and he got jumped while he was in a club.
Yeah, it actually escalated to a bloody altercation. Things were getting thrown at Kristaps, and he had to fight back until security could contain the issue.
Some other news here is Josh Jackson for the Suns was arrested at a concert for entering the VIP area with no pass. He tried to run away from the cops, but before being apprehended.
You know, you as Josh Jackson, you just can't run away. You gotta admit you're wrong, and you'll get off the hook.
This is really hurting him actually now. I saw that the Suns are looking to trade him right now.
Josh Jackson made a big mistake while running away from the cops.
So, other news is Kyrie has discussed reuniting with LeBron in LA.
You know, this is going to be interesting to see what Kyrie's decision will be this free agency. Many people don't see him staying with the Celtics, especially after them losing to the Raptors. So, you know, it's definitely a possibility.
I mean, I would like to see it. I would like to see Kyrie and LeBron team back up again. I mean, they played really well when they were in Cleveland. But maybe it's a new spot, new players, new organization.
So, DeMarcus Cousins is on pace to make a return in the Western Conference Finals.
If he returns, the Warriors should have no problem winning it all.
Easily. You know, they took Game 1 pretty easily. So, if they get Kevin Durant and DeMarcus Cousins back, it's going to be easy sweep for the Warriors.
Game over for everybody else.
So, I was thinking, who's your best duo in the playoffs right now?
I would probably have to go with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, just because of the chemistry they have, that they've won before. They know what it feels like to be in the playoffs, and they're both great shooters.
See, I'm on the other side of that series. I'm with Dame and CJ McCollum. Because when one is off, the other one is on fire. And you saw that in the first two series they played against the Thunder and then against the Nuggets. Damian Lillard had a great series against the Thunder, and CJ had a great series against the Nuggets. And if they weren't facing this Warriors team, I think that they would be in the finals. Because they are great players, but this Warriors team is just too stacked for them.
Yeah, I agree. So now on to the hot takes here. What is your hot take?
My hot take is Michael Porter Jr. Returning this season. He will win Rookie of the Year for Denver. And I think this because, you know, just like the Ben Simmons deal, he has had a full year in the NBA of watching film, training, and seeing what the league was like before actually playing. And, you know, he'll come back for his second season, but he'll still be considered a rookie.
So you're picking Michael Porter Jr. over Zion Williamson.
Yeah, just because of the experience factor. I think that Michael Porter Jr. will have that 1 year of, you know, film and training
just like Ben
Zion
Simmons did. Okay, so my hot take is next year the Warriors will not be the only super team. A new one will form with this upcoming free agency.
So with this, do you think the Warriors super team will end, or do you think more will be created?
I don't think this Warriors super team will end. I feel like that most players will stay on this team and still be considered a super team. While there's so many more free agents this year. So many superstars in the NBA that are free agents that will maybe team up somewhere else. Maybe New York or another California team. Discuss the draft lottery that happened last night here. With the first pick, New Orleans Pelicans.
You know, this gives the Pelicans all the cards in their hands. They have the rights to trade Anthony Davis, and they have the rights to their first pick. They can get any player in the league they want right now.
See, the Pelicans here, they had a 6% chance.
You know, they were projected to get like 7th or 8th, I believe, and they ended up winning it, and it's pretty crazy. I saw a tweet by Rudy Gobert that said that the fans should be happy because this is the end of the tanking. We've witnessed the end of tanking, you know, especially with all these switches in the draft lottery. You know, the Lakers projected to get like 11th and they get 4th. Pelicans projected to get 7th, they get 1st. So the tanking's not even useful anymore. So no. I think as fans we should be grateful.
I also saw another thing here. Even though they got the first pick, Anthony Davis still has not changed his mind about leaving.
This doesn't surprise me. You know, if Anthony Davis doesn't want to be on the team, he doesn't want to be on the team regardless of who he's going to play with.
Okay, the second pick is the Grizzlies.
the Grizzlies had a hot start to the season. I remember through the first 10 games, they were sitting second or third in the West, and everyone's like, oh my God, the Grizzlies they're gonna go to the Western Conference Finals. All this absurd stuff, and then they end up having a pretty bad season, tanking. I'd like to see who they pick with the second pick. Of course, Zion probably gonna go 1, and then are they gonna take Ja Morant? Are they gonna take R.J. Barrett?
Either one of those players could really help out this Memphis team.
So third, the New York Knicks got the third pick.
The New York Knicks had the highest chance of being a number 1 pick.
And I saw a lot of Knicks fans on Instagram and all the social media and stuff that I mentioned. They're pretty upset. They expected to get the first pick, and they didn't. They get the third, so they'll still get a very good player. They'll get either whoever's left of Ja Morant or R.J. Barrett. There's also players like Cam Reddish out there. So they're not left empty-handed, and of course, they can always trade up. They can always try to get that 2 or 1 pick. It'd be interesting to see what moves they make.
I also saw on Instagram here that Zion was hoping the Knicks got the number 1 pick.
See, I don't know how accurate this was because I don't believe Zion would blatantly say out loud, I hope the Knicks get the first pick, because as we've seen in a lot of his interviews, he doesn't talk bad about any teams or talk good about any teams. He just wants to go anywhere. I also saw a video of him reacting to the Pelicans' first pick, and he looked happy. He looked like he was laughing, having a good time. So, I don't think it really mattered too much to him.
Okay, the 4th pick is the Los Angeles Lakers.
This was the most surprising pick to me, because the Lakers, as I said before, were projected to get 11th, I believe.
Yeah,
and
top 10.
Now they're 4. And this kind of interesting because LeBron left Cleveland to go to the Lakers, and the Cavs have a worse pick than the Lakers do. Lakers are higher in the draft than the Cavs are, who just left them.
I do feel like this could really help out the Lakers next year. Maybe that's the piece they're missing, or just to help.
Do you think that the Lakers are going to try trading? Maybe possibly getting Anthony Davis? I saw a lot of rumors about that. Actually getting Anthony Davis for that 4th round pick.
I don't know if they'll try trading just because he's a free agent next year.
But of course, you have the risk that
he might also get traded.
He might also go somewhere else. You never know if he's going to go to the Lakers. So, as we just talked about, the 5th pick, the Cleveland Cavs.
It is kind of ironic, though, how LeBron leaves, now ends up with a better pick than his old team.
Right, and especially with the Cavs having a way worse season than the Lakers, it really is going to be the end of tanking, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the 6th pick is the Phoenix Suns. They had one of the highest percentages to get the first pick.
They were tied with the Cavs and the Knicks for the first round pick, and I would have liked to see the Suns get the first pick because I want to see what the Suns could do, partnering them with Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. I'd like to see a young big 3,
I feel like it would be fun to watch Zion in Phoenix, especially with Devin Booker.
As I've said about almost every team, they could look to package a trade, maybe move up in the draft.
7th pick is the Chicago Bulls.
The Bulls really need an asset on this team, and they're really young right now. If they can get the good pickup in this draft, they could develop in this future.
And the Bulls were the 2nd highest projected to get the number 1 pick as well.
So with the 8th pick, the Atlanta Hawks have got it.
I do wish the Hawks got a little bit of a higher pick. I think it would be nice to see Trae Young get paired with somebody.
Especially with the big man, kind of get a Phoenix Suns type thing with Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, with Trae Young and one of these superstars coming into this draft.
So the 9th pick goes to the Washington Wizards.
Now, I think this is going to be a very good pick for the Wizards because they can partner the right person with John Wall and Bradley Beal, and that will be a scary thing for the Eastern Conference.
The Hawks also have the 10th pick in the draft. This pick was originally the Mavericks pick, but it got traded over to the Hawks here.
Would you be interested in seeing a Hawks move up in the draft? They have the 8th and the 10th spot. Those are 2 pretty good picks. They could possibly move up into a 4th, 3rd, 2nd, even possibly 1st if they package the right deal.
I feel like they should. I feel like they should try to get the best player they can from this draft.
So 11th, you have the Timberwolves. They're a pretty young team, and if they get a superstar in this draft, possibly a sleeper pick, it could be a very good team this next year.
And pair them with Andy Wiggins and Karl-Anthony Towns. So the 12th pick is the Hornets. I feel like this could be a huge deciding factor on if Kemba Walker stays or not.
See, for me, I think that they should draft for the future. They shouldn't draft for now because I believe, in my opinion, that Kemba Walker is gone. He does not want to be with this Hornets team. They should draft a franchise player that they're going to rebuild their organization around.
The 13th pick goes to the Miami Heat. I feel like they could pick up a decent player here at this spot and maybe help them win a few more games.
Especially, they struggled this year, and I'd like to see them, of course, get a nice player and improve, maybe make the playoffs this year.
So to round out the top 14, is the 14th pick goes to the Celtics. This was originally the Kings pick, but it got traded along the way here.
This is also a great pick for the Celtics. With Kyrie on the fence for leaving and staying, this will be a key factor in his decision, I believe, and also a key factor in the Celtics' future.
So now we're going to discuss our MVP of the playoffs so far.
I think it's unanimous between us that it's Kawhi Leonard, without a doubt.
Yep.
He's averaging 32 points per game, 8.5 rebounds per game, and 3.5 assists per game, with a 34% usage rate. That's the highest in his career for playoffs or regular season.
That right there kind of shows you how much of the offense is going through him right now.
Oh, definitely. And I think Kawhi Leonard stepped up huge for this Raptors team. I didn't think people expected this Raptors team to do so well, especially with Kawhi just being a one-year rental, as many people said. I'd like to see them make a push for the finals.
I think they could too, especially the way Kawhi's been playing. So today's special guest is a little different than usual. Today we have with us Carson Van Deest, a manager for the varsity basketball team here at Cascade. With this, we are hoping to get a different viewpoint of this previous season.
So Carson, what are your overall thoughts of the season this year?
I thought the season went very well actually. It started off kind of rough. The season wasn't going so well. Seemed like our talent wasn't being used properly, and as the season progressed, you kind of saw everyone shine and get their moment and kind of pull through, and that brought the team together.
So speaking of that, do you have any special memory or special play that sticks with you from this year?
I gotta say, Harris Huffman's step back towards half court, deep three for a buzzer beater really stood out for me.
That was definitely a
really great shot.
play.
Yeah, that one definitely stuck out.
Okay, so here, we've asked this question to all of our special guests. We're obviously going to ask it to you. Do you have a favorite Coach Brindle moment?
This was last year, not this year, but when he had the celebration, kind of stood out. Quite the celebration for Coach Brindle.
The celebration when they won
the championship.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then lastly, our final question with Carson is, what's your favorite locker room moment? You're a manager, you're with the team, you're with the guys in the locker room. Do you have any favorite moment in the locker room?
One to stick out to me.
Oh, let's hear it.
Yep.
It's got to be in the locker room, trying to listen to Coach Brindle. There's a shower on. Just kept running, and I was like, I'm going to turn the shower off. I went to go turn it off, and ended up turning it the wrong way, and my uniform got all sprayed on, got all wet. Got completely soaked from it.
So, I'm still curious, what happened after that happened? Were you just standing?
I just stood it. I turned it off as quick as I possibly could after that, and it was still doing the random noise, and I just had to use the blow dryer or air dryer. Whatever.
All I remember from that is I look up and I see Nate just dying out laughing.
Yeah, he was
looking at the shower
so hard.
So did any of the coaches help you or anything, or did they just continue on with their?
They kept going, and I just sat there completely soaked.
All right. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have today with Carson. We appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
So with this being most likely the last All Things Hoops podcast, I think it'd only be right if we asked each other a few questions.
So I'll start off here. My first question for you is, how do you think the podcast went, and did you enjoy them?
Oh, I definitely enjoyed being on the show with you every day, I thought it went well. Not much we could have improved on. I thought we had a pretty good show. I liked all the guests we had on the show, and very enjoyable. So my question for you is, what do you think of the podcast?
I also really enjoyed making them with you. I thought it was fun to sit down, type out all the news, and learn about everything that's happened. And then I think we did a pretty good job on them. So my next question would be, do you have a favorite guest that we had?
My favorite guest would probably be Carson Van Deest. He was a funny guy, and his interview was the best. We just talked to him. I think it's great that we kind of shine the light on him. This is probably his first interview for the basketball team because, the managers don't get much love, so we thought he'd bring him in here and give him some love. I'm going to fire right back at you with, who was your favorite guest?
I'm probably going to say Reed. I enjoyed Reed's segment just because we asked him some really good questions. I thought probably the best questions we've asked a special guest. But Reed gave us probably the best answers too out of anybody. So my last question for you is, if you had to, would you make another podcast?
Yeah, I'd make another podcast. I really enjoyed this one. Only if you'd be my co-host, though.
As always, I would.
So last question to wrap it up here. What was your favorite moment from all the podcasts that we did all year?
Favorite moment? I don't think I can just pick one.
All too many?
Yeah, I don't think I can pick one moment. I had a lot of fun, just probably the whole thing. Favorite moment was the whole thing, all 4 podcasts. I enjoyed them all.
Thanks for listening to the All Things Hoops podcast. Hope you enjoyed.